and guess what? We get to hang out today. I am so excited that we get to hang out and spend some time together today. We are learning about the book of Proverbs, and it is an awesome book. And in Proverbs, chapter 4, verses 3 to 9 says this: "Never walk away from wisdom. She guards your life. Love her. She keeps an eye on you. Above all and before all, do this. Get wisdom. Write this at the top of your list. Get understanding." And then in Proverbs 3, verses 5 to 6, it says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take." Church kids, we are going to learn about this amazing book called Proverbs. Who wrote it, what's it about, and why God gave it to us. Now, Proverbs is written in the Old Testament, which is the first section of the Bible before Jesus came to the earth. It was written by 3 guys. The first was David's son, King Solomon. He was one of the wisest men who has ever lived. Second, a guy named Lemuel. And the third author's name was Agur. Agur. And the book of Proverbs is all about one thing: wisdom. It's all about wisdom. What's wisdom, you ask? Wisdom is about knowing what God wants and then doing it. But I have a question for you. Question of the week. Are you the type of person that needs to know the answer why? Are you like me? When I was a kid, I was constantly asking my parents, why? I want to know why. I want to know why about everything. Why did I always ask my parents why? Because I wanted to know the reason behind why they were asking me. I wanted to know the reason behind why I was doing something. It's kind of like when you're a kid at the dinner table and you sit down and you're looking at these vegetables and your parents are like, you gotta eat all those carrots. And you're looking at these carrots and you're like, these are some boiled, sad-looking carrots. And you're like, why do I need to eat those carrots? Or how about this? You're about to go to bed and you say, Mom, Dad, can I eat 5 pounds of cotton candy before I go to sleep? And they're like, no, you can't. And you're like, why not? Or how about this? You're driving with your mom or dad in the car, having a great road trip, and then all of a sudden, a bird poops on the front of your windshield. And you're like, why do birds only ever seem to poop on windshields? Knowing the answer to the question why is so important because it tells us the reason behind something. So God shows us in the book of Proverbs why wisdom is so important. You ready for this? Point number 1. Wisdom helps us make great choices. Church kids, have you ever had to make a decision? Of course you have. You make hundreds of thousands of decisions every single day. Well, how do you know if you're making the right ones? Wisdom is something that God wants to give us to help us make great choices. Did you know that God has an amazing plan for your life? It's true. You're not just floating through life like a little piece of fuzz in the wind wondering, oh, I wonder what today's going to be like. Is today going to be a good day? No, we don't just float through life. God created us on purpose for a purpose. God even said in Jeremiah 11, my plans for you are so good. They are so good. I've got plans to give you a hope and a future. Church kids, God has a plan for your life, and we need wisdom to help us make great choices. Because how many of you know the choices we make, they help us, or oh baby, they hurt us? Anybody got in trouble lately for a decision you made? Oh my goodness gracious. Good choices, they're great. Bad choices, they get us in trouble. God wants you to live a life that is amazing. Bad choices, they don't just get us in trouble, but they also make us feel bad. Sometimes they make us cry, sometimes they hurt our feelings, sometimes they make us feel guilty, and God wants none of that for you. We need wisdom. Why? because wisdom helps us make great choices. Point number 2. Wisdom helps us make choices that help us and others. Let me word it this way instead. Wisdom keeps us from hurting us and others. In Proverbs 3 verse 5, it says this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take." Path? Huh? Proverbs, what are you talking about? This is what it means. Have you ever been in a moment where you had a choice to make? And one choice is probably the right choice to make, but it's kind of hard and you really maybe didn't feel like doing it. And there's another choice you could make and you kind of got that feeling on the inside of you like it wasn't the right choice, but it was a lot easier. Like for instance, you're in your house during quarantine and your brother or sister does something that really makes you mad. And boom, you have a choice to make. Ugh, do I let it go and forgive him? Ugh, it's kind of hard. Or do I just tell them what a cotton-headed ninny-muggins they are? Ugh, that's so much easier. But it's not really a great decision, and it makes us feel bad on the inside for lashing out. Now, Proverbs calls those 2 different paths. We either choose the path that's right or the path that's wrong. And these paths lead to 2 very different outcomes. And wisdom helps us make choices that help us and others. So in that moment, even when you don't want to, even when it's easier to lash out, even when you'd rather act a different way, you say, I'm going to let it go and forgive my brother or sister. And because I made the right decision, I'm good, my sister's good, my parents are good, and everything's good, even though it was really hard. But the other path, you yell at your sister, you call her some names, now your sister's crying, you're angry, your parents are frustrated, you just got grounded, now you don't have screen time. It's a mess. Why did I go down this path? Why didn't I just make the decision to let it go? You see, church kids, wisdom is when God shows us the right path to take and then we make the decision to do it. It's that simple. You don't have to be an adult to have wisdom. God wants to give you and I wisdom right here and right now. Not only does wisdom help us make choices that help us and others, but we make choices that change our whole world. What are you talking about right now? Are you talking about like changing the world, like medicine, like superheroes? Change the world like technology and internet? Yeah, exactly like that. But also, good choices change our whole world in little ways. Every day we get to choose. We get to go down the path of anger and jealousy and frustration and just not good. Grumpiness, bad attitudes. Or we can choose to go down the path of forgiveness, of love, of generosity, of compassion. Church kids, there is a path we are going to choose in every decision. And church kids, when we do the thing that God has shown us what to do, it literally changes our world one choice at a time. Let me prove it to you. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt really sad? When you were really just having a terrible day, but then someone came up to you and said something really nice to you. Now to them, it was probably just a comment that they made. But to you, it made all the difference in the world. And it totally changed your day. Because you're like, wow, somebody cares about me. I'm important. Somebody loved me enough to say something so nice to me. Church kids, you and I can literally change our world. One choice at a time. One person at a time. And how about this? How about you and I live each day choosing to do what God wants us to do? The day we understand why we choose to make the right choices is the day we understand wisdom. How about this? How about every day you and I choose to do what God has asked us to do? Choosing to understand why wisdom is so important. Because that day turns into a day of wise choices. Because then a bunch of days put together of good choices is a month. And then those months put together turn into a year. And then all of those years, church kids, turn into a life of good choices. It is a life that is fueled and is filled by wisdom. Why is wisdom so important? It's simple. God only wants the best for you and I and the people around us. And when we choose wisdom, we literally change our world. We love you, church kids. Have the best week.